Hello, Maurieo. Maurieo looks at survey marks commonly used in New Zealand. In this video, I'm just going to take a brief look at some of the survey marks that are commonly used in the cadastral surveying engineering set-out field in New Zealand. And to do this, I'm going to explore various websites that sell the particular survey marks. So to do that, I'm going to go to, first of all, the survey mark where I get most of my survey supplies from. I suppose they're a very efficient organisation. I just ring them up and tell them what I want, and within a couple of days they usually arrive at my door. So let's have a closer look at these. So first of all, the ubiquitous boundary peg, the wooden boundary peg. Here, usually made out of sort of 75 by 45. These pegs go through a very special process. They're usually cut from untreated timber initially in the first instance, and then they are after that they are then put through a treatment so that the whole peg is treated. With treated timber, anytime you cut the timber, the treatment grade goes down at the cut. So if you've got an H5 treated piece of wood and you cut it with a saw, the saw cut becomes H4. So these are cadastral boundary pegs that have been traditionally used in New Zealand. These ones are made out of pine, but prior to this they were made out of totara, and the numbers, or the lot numbers, were carved in the tops here. There's no longer a requirement for them to be carved anymore, and a lot of surveyors are not carving their wooden pegs at all. These pegs here seem to be of a polypropylene boundary mark peg, but they're a sort of a plastic driven peg. There are other forms of plastic peg that have a driven section and a white cap to mark this, and they are marked up with a sort of felt tip type pen, a very special pen. These ones here are plastic. There is also an equivalent looking one of these here, similar to this, which has made of aluminium. Now the aluminium ones are very good for the use in like car parks and sealed areas. These plastic ones will go in the same place as the wooden, but they generally don't break down in the sun and that sort of thing. So these are your wooden boundary markers, marking property boundaries generally. Boxing pegs and engineering pegs. Boxing pegs obviously used for putting in boxing for concrete footpaths and things like that, and engineering pegs used for a number of different operations, just for engineering purposes. Generally they're untreated and unpainted, and they're sort of sacrificial in quite a lot of times, that they're just not used as a permanent sort of mark of any sort. Marker stakes of various reasons, painted and unpainted. They can be used for all sorts of engineering purposes, putting them near pegs, for lift pegs on roads, for marking, for set out and marking purposes. And obviously these companies are in the business of providing wooden stakes, so quite often they have other purposes, and these ones are for trees, for staking up trees until they establish a good root bowl. The peg bar, traditionally in New Zealand, a large long bar has been used. So when putting in particularly boundary pegs, this end of the bar is used to make a hole in the ground at the appropriate spot. Then the peg is then put into the hole, the bar is turned, and the top of the peg is hit with this heavy end of the bar there. The reason why peg bars are used is that we believe that we can hit the peg in straighter and more accurately than with, say, a sledgehammer. These here are little boundary mark spikes. They're a special little spike that's got boundary mark engraved in the head, and we would use those, and generally used in sealed areas, areas of asphalt or seal or something like that for a boundary mark. Similar to these here are these galvanized survey marks. Also note that they have the dome head. The dome, those ones there maybe have a flat head. These ones have a dome head, and they're stamped with survey. The dome head means that when you put a staff or something on top of them, that they always take the highest point, which is quite helpful for heighting and that sort of purposes. This survey mark box here for very important survey marks, particularly in footpaths and things like that, where you want them to be easily found. The survey mark box, a cast iron box, can be cast into the footpath, and it opens, and you'll see a lot of those around Hamilton. These companies also sell various forms of manhole lifters. They're always quite handy to have if you're lifting manholes to measure the depth and things like that. These little ones here are quite a useful little mark. You can see they've got a little dimple just in there, and with the road nails, they're used for the centralizing dimple is very handy if you're holding a survey pole and you can get it on the mark. Quite often, a lot of these other types of marks, the survey pole will easily slip off. It's quite hard to hold it on the center of the mark. These nails here are only 50 or 60 mils long. They're very good for the use in roads and things like that, and quite often they might have a bit of material or something in the backing to make them easier to find. Those ones there. These here are just galvanized nails with a little disc maybe in them, just to give them a bit more substance or something written on the disc. Again, they can be used in fence posts, or they'll take a boundary disc for fixing to posts. They'll fit in fence posts and seal areas, and particularly asphalt, not so much chip seal. Concrete fasteners, these are, or drive pins. So you drill a hole in concrete, and then put the fastener in, and then hit the nail in, which causes the alloy to expand and stay quite secure in the concrete. And these can be used for putting in the little boundary discs, and you'll see that these boundary discs, they can be secured with one of these in concrete, or with the stainless nail can be used to secure these in wooden fence posts and the like of that. So this is a boundary disc, very good for the tops of fence posts, rather than where a boundary peg perhaps won't fit. Tops of fence posts in concrete, in seal and things like that, and these are stainless steel pins for putting in the boundary discs. The brass plaque, commonly the brass plaque is under the one of these survey boxes here. These are made from brass. You can see they've got a little dimple in the top. They're approved by Land Information as a brass plaque. They're very long lasting, put in for longevity. So quite often this little thing here can be split, and they can be cast in concrete, or you can drill a hole in the top of a curb or in the channel and grout them in with a very strong grout. You'll see these are quite common around towns and things, with the Land Information written on them, like so. So that's like what we call a brass plaque. They're a very good flush mark there. Now these steel rods come in various sizes. They're usually always, for survey marks in the survey regulations, usually 500 mils long, although some use a 350 mil, particularly in areas where there are underground services and the like of that. So a 12mm one of these is usually called an iron spike, and a 16mm one is usually called an iron bar. So they're quite substantial marks. They can be made out of just round or deformed bar, and generally these marks here are buried. So they might be you might dig a hole that's round about 200 to 300 mils deep, and then hit the bar into the hole down to the depth. So the reach of these could be anywhere up to 800 millimeters below ground surface. So you have to be quite careful putting these in. But yeah, these are, as I say, iron bar. So typically called iron spike or iron bar, whereas the little drive pins here are referred to as alloy plugs. These might be referred to as aluminium discs or discs. They come in both a plastic and an aluminium. Galvanized tubes, referred to as iron tubes. These are the same as these, but except they are made out of galvanized pipe and with a hole down the middle, as opposed to the solid bar and that. Traditionally, these have been quite well used in New Zealand for a permanent reference mark. Historically, there was a lot of galvanized pipe can be found around on farms and things like that. So surveyors usually had a hacksaw in the back of their truck. So every time they saw some galvanized pipe, they would go and grab, cut it up and take it home for survey marks. Particularly during some of the depression areas or during the wartime when steel and pipe, was not readily available. So you can sometimes look at different eras of surveying and see the frequency of the pipes is indicative of the state of the economy in some respects. So yeah, there's a whole variety of survey marks there. There's also, I've got another one here from another company, and this is a plastic survey mark here that I've sort of alluded to. This is the one where the white cap piece just comes off. So you drive the black bit of the mark in, and then you can write up the lot numbers, road, and what have you on the white cap with a quite indelible pen, and that goes in there. Again, your steel rod. Iron rod, sometimes another word for these. These ones are made out of deformed bar, typically 500 mils long. Some various boxing pegs, your engineering pegs, your wooden boundary peg, your set out stakes there. Come in a variety of sizes, and tree stakes with this company here. So yeah, I don't think these guys have got any other concrete tools, laser levels and equipment. On-site survey, what we've got there. Yeah, variety. Oh, here's some variety of marks and things here that perhaps we could have a look at. The old Waratah rammer there is always helpful. Waratahs are quite often used as marks. So here's another selection of, there's your alloy boundary disc, your boundary spike as we've discussed. The double-sided little disc there for nails, steel rod, galvanized tube, various road spikes there, the stainless steel nail, the concrete fastener, brass pin. These little concrete nails can be quite useful as survey marks. There's another cast iron survey box. The little all-weather field books are sort of a handy little thing as well, and field notes, level book. These are stainless steel benchmark pins, which are not in the other area there. They're quite useful. Yeah, they can be cast in concrete. They've got the little dome top, and they form a requirement of the Lands and Survey regulations for benchmarks. So they're stainless steel, which is more longevity and things like that. And then we've got these little bags for carrying pegs, and the obviously different colours, paints and things that you look there. So that's a pretty good overview. Oh, here's your marker here that is used for marking up the plastic pegs, the permanent marker. Also used for marking or writing on the stakes, where you're writing cuts and fills and that sort of thing on your survey stakes. So there you have it. That's a little bit of a overview of survey marks. I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of what the different marks are and how we use them here in New Zealand for most of our surveying. There are an infinite number of things that can be used for survey marks. Some of the old plans show bayonets being used. I don't know whether they had an oversupply of bayonets over in the Wairarapa. They use the bayonets, and I have found various bits and sizes of tubes. I found one that looked like it looked to me like it was some sort of whale harpoon or something like that. Had quite a large thing on the bottom of it that people have used. So the actual, although these ones here are the perhaps the ones that are in general use these days, the only thing stopping people from coming up with different types of survey marks is their imagination. So that's all very well. I think that's a pretty good overview of the different types of survey marks and how they're used. So cheers, see you.